Hello everyone, Joshua Preston here again from Nexus, with our second video of our 4-part series covering Microsoft Update Management with an RMM. Today, we're delving into the concept of update policy. An update policy, in essence, is the game plan for the deployment of Microsoft updates to your clients. It determines the when, how, and what of your updates. Unfortunately, many businesses approach this process without a clear strategy, leading to ineffective update applications, unexpected restarts, and worst of all, vulnerable systems. Now, let's clarify the objective of a good update policy. It's simple. We want every client device to receive their monthly Microsoft updates and undergo necessary restarts with minimal disruption to the client and minimal manual effort from your team. Again, we want every client device to receive their monthly Microsoft updates and undergo necessary restarts with minimal disruption to the client and minimal effort from your team. But how do you achieve this? Well, you don't let your clients dictate your policy and the process your team has to follow. Rather, you should evaluate their requirements, their working hours, and availability requirements for any of their affected systems, and ideally, you should be recommending a standardized schedule your team is positioned to service well. This standardization helps streamline processes and maintain consistent coverage after installation and reboot. Also, it's incredibly important to make sure to clearly label and document any deviation from your standard policies. Our team prefixes policies with standard or custom based on this differentiation, reducing technical baggage in the RMM tool. As far as the standards we recommend, flexibility is key, but there are specific strategies that can help prevent issues and improve compliance. For instance, with workstations and laptops, we always recommend an aggressive strategy, and that's because the devices are notoriously unavailable. So we recommend considering daily patching once new updates are approved and have strategies in place for when the device is offline during its scheduled window. As far as reboots for devices like workstations and laptops, we prefer giving end users multiple opportunities to restart with an eventual enforced deadline. Like, give them a couple prompts a day, and then after a week of them not agreeing to the restart, tell them it's rebooting without their choice in 15 minutes. Something like that is usually how we'll go about it. Now, as far as servers, we recommend trying to get a weekly approved late night window for different classes of servers, including primary and secondary domain controllers, Hyper-V hosts, and all other servers without any custom requirements that would affect downtime and restart schedules. The reason we recommend a weekly window when Microsoft is releasing updates on a monthly cadence is that it will give your team multiple opportunities to address any update issues without requiring coordination from your client. The reason we recommend different days for DCs, Hyper-V hosts, and all other servers without custom requirements is that updating one can impact the others, and by having them in alternative days, we avoid issues that would require your team and potentially impact your client services. And while we recommend automated reboots for Hyper-V hosts, it's only after all managed hosts are properly configured to power on and their guests power on in the appropriate order using any necessary staggers. Now, to get you guys an example of how we structure policies typically after our recommendations, let me pull one up. As you can see, at the top in green we have our standards, and down below there are some custom policies defined in this fictitious example. But you'll see we patch domain controllers on Thursday and we restart them at different times. Our typical process would be to confirm the primary domain controller is back on before we patch the second one, meaning it's possible the second one would be skipped and a ticket would be raised instead. You'll notice in this example we have Hyper-V hosts not automatically rebooting. That's because not everyone's ready to have their Hyper-V hosts restarting, but we often like them to be patching and rebooting on a separate day because we don't want them restarting when their guests are also patching. And last, for servers, you'll notice that we have non-Hyper-V hosts and non-DCs automatically restarting, but again on a separate day. That's so that they're not affected by domain availability, and they're not affected by their host restarting, potentially. Last, you'll see some policies for a fictitious police department, a bar and grill, and a fire department below. No automated reboots in certain cases, and alternative times from our recommended standards. And if you have policies implemented per this design, you can very quickly tell what your business is doing. You can train colleagues very clearly what you're doing as a standard, what you're recommending, and then very easily you can identify which clients and subsets of clients have exceptions. Now, one of the unusual recommendation that we occasionally provide when devices are failing to install updates for whatever reason is we recommend restarting those devices before the patch window. We've seen firsthand how this can have a positive effect on updates. It's not feasible for all devices, particularly workstations and laptops, due to end users potentially having things they're working on open. Remember, mastering your update policy is the first step in elevating your client's patch compliance and security. Stay tuned for our next video where we'll discuss how we keep the machines updating properly with an efficient review process we refer to as patch issue management. Until then, happy patching.